Have you ever driven so far off the grid that the road itself starts to feel unreal? I'm talking about stretches of asphalt so empty, so silent, you begin to question whether you're even still in the same world. That's where I was. Miles deep in the Australian outback, headed east from Port Headland with a trailer full of supplies and 9 hours of solid driving behind me. The Pilbara is no joke. It's remote, endless, unforgiving. Nothing but dusty red earth, stubborn shrubs, and the occasional kangaroo leaping across your path like some ancient ghost of the land. The further you go, the thinner reality feels. There are no streetlights, no fuel stops, no people. Just the road and whatever your mind cooks up in the dark. It was around 11:30 p.m. when the fatigue hit. The kind that makes your eyelids weigh 1,000 pounds and the lines on the road start swimming. I knew I needed to pull over. Anything beyond that point would be gambling with my life. Then, as if summoned, a sign flashed in my headlights. Green, reflective, brand new. River's Edge Motel, 2 kilometers. I blinked. That sign hadn't been on any map I checked. I'd driven this route before, and there was nothing out here. But exhaustion is persuasive. The promise of a bed and maybe a hot shower? That was all it took. I turned off the highway. The motel emerged from the darkness like a memory I'd forgotten. 2 stories, pale paint peeling off the weatherboards, a flickering neon sign buzzing above the office. Vacancy. There were a few old cars in the gravel lot, no movement, no sound. It felt off. Not wrong exactly, just like the place didn't quite belong. Like it had been forgotten by time. I parked and killed the engine. Sat there a moment. No wind. No insects. Just an unnatural silence. It was the kind of stillness that presses against your ears like a vacuum. I should have left then, but I didn't. My body was too heavy with fatigue. I grabbed my overnight bag and walked up to the office. Inside, a fluorescent bulb buzzed overhead. A glass door smeared with dust revealed a man behind the counter. Late 50s maybe, skin pale like he hadn't seen the sun in years. He looked up, gave me a slow, too-perfect smile. "Evening," he said, voice gravelly. "Need a room?" "Yeah," I replied. "Just for the night." He slid an old-fashioned key across the counter. Brass worn smooth with time. The tag read room 6. "No ID?" I asked. "No paperwork." He just shook his head. "We keep things simple here." I hesitated. That should have raised a red flag, but I was too far gone to argue. He gestured toward the hallway behind me. "Down the left, last door on the right." I thanked him and made my way down the corridor. The place smelled like mildew and something older would rot, maybe. The hallway seemed longer than it looked from the outside. Much longer. The lights flickered overhead as I walked, casting brief shadows that moved like they had minds of their own. And then I heard it. Not clearly, but just enough to raise the hairs on the back of my neck. Footsteps behind me, soft, in sync with mine. But every time I looked back, nothing. Just the empty hall stretching forever in both directions. I reached room 6, slid the key into the lock, and stepped inside. The room was normal. Old bed, wooden desk, outdated TV bolted to the wall. A small bathroom in the corner. It smelled like must and age, but nothing unlivable. I dropped my bag and sat on the bed, trying to shake the unease. Turned on the TV, just static. No channels. I shut it off. Walked to the window to get some air. That's when I noticed something that twisted my stomach into a knot. The parking lot was empty. My truck, gone. All the other cars, gone. Only the cracked asphalt remained under the flickering streetlight. I blinked, rubbed my eyes, checked again. Still nothing. Had I parked somewhere else? Was I hallucinating? I drew the curtains shut and laid back down. Told myself I was overtired. Sleep would fix this. But I didn't sleep. Not for long. Because at 3 a.m., I heard a knock. 3 of them. Sharp. Precise. I bolted upright. heart in my throat. Someone was at the door. I checked the clock again to be sure, 3 a.m. on the dot. The knock wasn't timid or uncertain. It was deliberate, intentional, like whoever it was knew exactly what they were doing. I crept to the door and pressed my eye to the peephole. Empty hallway. I opened the door just a crack. Looked both ways. Still nothing. That's when I heard the faint creak. Wood bending under weight. But there was no one in sight. Just me and that long, silent hallway. And then something else. Click. The door to room 5, the one beside mine, creaked open. Just a sliver. Enough to show complete blackness inside. I froze. I didn't want to look. But my eyes betrayed me. I thought I saw movement inside, just a flicker. A shape. I backed away. Fast. Slammed my door shut and locked it. The room felt colder now. The air conditioner had gone silent. Only the faint ticking of the old clock on the nightstand remained. 3:05 a.m. The minutes crawled by. I sat there, gripping the bed like it would anchor me to sanity. Then another sound. Drip, drip, drip. From the bathroom. The sink. I hadn't turned it on. I got up, legs heavy like stone, and crept toward the door. The light above the mirror flickered, casting twisted shadows. The faucet dripped in steady rhythm. I reached for the knob to shut it off, and that's when I saw it. A reflection. Behind me, tall, thin, unmoving, standing in the corner of the room. I spun around, nothing. The room was empty. I looked back at the mirror. Only my own pale, frightened face stared back. But I knew what I'd seen, and it was only just beginning. I backed out of the bathroom slowly, never breaking eye contact with the mirror. My breath was shallow, quick, as if the very air in the room had turned against me. Whatever I'd seen or thought I'd seen wasn't just a trick of light. It was a presence. You know how they say you can feel when someone's behind you, even if you can't hear or see them? It was like that, but amplified, heavier, hungrier. When I stepped back into the room, I noticed something else, something that shouldn't have changed. The curtains. They were wide open. I know, without a doubt, I had closed them, pulled them tight, sealed out the empty lot and the sky. But now the fabric hung limp on either side, and the window was fully exposed. Outside, the parking lot was still completely deserted.
No truck.
No cars, no sign of life, and the sky didn't look right. There were no stars.
No moon.
Just a pale, shifting fog that hung low, like smoke caught in amber. The kind of mist that eats up sound and thought and time. A fog that felt like it was watching. I yanked the curtains shut again, more forcefully this time, and stepped back. My mind was fraying, unraveling thread by thread. I had to get out. Whatever this place was, it wasn't real. Or maybe it was too real. Older than the dust, older than the highway. I didn't care anymore. I just needed to leave. I grabbed my bag, rushed to the door, hand on the handle, and froze. There was something carved into the wood on the inside. I hadn't noticed it before. Don't look back. Thin, jagged letters etched deep, like someone had taken a knife and scratched it with desperate hands. I stared at the message for a long moment, dread blooming in my chest like rot. My hand trembled as I unlocked the door and stepped back into the hallway. Same yellow light, same flickering bulbs, same eerie silence. But the air felt thicker, more oppressive. I moved fast, not running but close. Passing room 5, I glanced to the side and instantly regretted it. The door was wide open now. Inside, only darkness. But the smell hit me like a punch in the face. Copper. Rust. Old blood. I didn't stop. Didn't speak. Didn't even blink. I just kept moving until I reached the lobby. And it was empty. No manager.
No guests.
No flicker of life. The counter stood abandoned. The office behind it dim and still. The neon sign above the front door buzzed like a dying insect, flickering in broken rhythm. I reached for the handle, pulled, nothing, pulled again, harder, still nothing. The door was locked, and then I saw it. On the inside of the glass, etched in the same desperate handwriting as my room's door. "You're not supposed to leave." My blood turned to ice. I just stood there, hand still gripping the handle, staring at that message. The words seemed to breathe, to shift slightly as if something just beneath the glass was pushing them outward. The temperature in the room dropped. My breath came out in visible puffs. My heartbeat slammed against my ribs like it wanted out. Then, without warning, the lights died. Everything was swallowed by darkness. I froze, straining to hear anything. For a few heartbeats, there was only silence. Then, top, top, top. Footsteps, slow, deliberate, getting closer, coming from the hallway behind me. I turned, instinctively, but I couldn't see a damn thing. Just the pitch black swallowing the world. The footsteps continued. I backed into the front desk, heart pounding so loud I thought it would drown out the sound. My hand brushed across the counter, and I felt something. A flashlight. I fumbled for the switch and clicked it on. A thin, shaky beam of light burst forth. I swept it across the room. The hallway, empty. But then, in the far corner of the lobby, I saw it. Movement. A figure. Tall. Thin. Too tall. It slipped just out of view, vanishing down the opposite corridor. I swallowed hard, my mouth dry as ash. I turned back to the front door, yanked on it again. Locked. Slammed my fists against the glass, no sound. The fog outside pressed against the windows like a living thing. It was like the world had vanished. Like nothing existed beyond these walls anymore. The flashlight flickered. Once, twice, then died. I stood there in complete blackness again. And then I heard it. A whisper. "Don't turn around." The voice came from right behind me. Close. Too close. Like someone breathing into my ear. I clenched my eyes shut, paralyzed. "Don't turn around." The air turned colder still. I could feel something there. Presence. Watching me. Standing just inches away. Not moving. Not breathing. Just being. Then, knock, knock, knock. 3 sharp knocks. But not at the door this time. From the ceiling. Right above me. The sound echoed through my bones. I didn't move. Didn't look up. Every instinct screamed, "Don't." The whisper came again. Softer this time. Like a lullaby laced with malice. "Don't turn around." I reached out blindly, my hand scraping along the counter. Desperate for anything. And then I found it. Keys. Old. Rusted. Heavy. Attached to them was a tag. Service door. Basement. I hesitated. Every molecule in my body begged me not to open that door. Not to go down there. But whatever was behind me, I couldn't face it. Not yet. I moved behind the desk, found the small, unmarked door near the floor, and slid the key into the lock. It opened with a groan. A narrow staircase descended into utter blackness. The air that flowed up was damp, stale, smelled like mold, stone, and time. I took one last look over my shoulder, still resisting the urge to look at it, whatever it was. Then I stepped down into the dark. The stairs creaked under my weight, groaning with each step. The temperature dropped steadily, until I could see my breath again, swirling in front of the fading flashlight beam. At the bottom, the basement spread out before me, barely lit. Dusty shelves lined the walls, stacks of decaying furniture, broken crates, forgotten junk. And then I saw it, a metal door, set into the far wall, smaller than it should have been, almost like it was meant for something else. The edges shimmered slightly, bending the air around it, like heat waves off asphalt, like it didn't belong to this world. I stepped closer, heart thudding, etched into the door, almost too faint to read. The loop. I didn't understand. I didn't have to, because just then the whisper returned, louder this time, You've already been here. I spun around, and there, just for a heartbeat, I saw it. The figure, tall, thin, pale, face hollow and empty, eyes dark, sunken, locked on mine. Then it vanished again, slipping into the shadows. My breath caught. I stumbled back, hand reaching for the metal door's handle without thinking, and I turned it, creaked open. A burst of white light blinded me. Cold wind rushed out like a sigh from something ancient, and the whisper returned, this time surrounding me from every direction. You can leave, but only if you forget. I stood there at the threshold, blinded by the light spilling through the strange door. It wasn't normal light. It felt heavy, almost liquid, pressing against my skin, filling my lungs with its weight. It didn't illuminate the room. It erased it. I couldn't see the basement anymore, only that blinding void beyond the doorway. The whisper echoed again, gentler this time, like it pitied me. You can leave, but only if you forget. My fingers tightened around the edge of the door. Forget what? This place? Myself? All of it? I didn't know what terrified me more. Walking into that impossible white light and losing everything I knew, or staying, trapped, hunted, watched. Behind me the darkness pulsed. Alive. I could feel it, him, still there. The presence I hadn't dared to turn and face. The Watcher, or maybe something older than that. Something that didn't need names. The whisper came again. You can leave, but only if you forget. My voice cracked as I spoke, barely more than a breath. Forget what? No answer, only silence, and the light. I glanced back one last time, and in the shifting shadows of the basement's edge, I saw him, the silhouette, thin, towering, still, but closer now. His eyes, sunken voids, locked onto mine, not blinking, not moving, just waiting. I took a step forward, into the light. It wasn't like walking into another room. It was like falling through layers of something thick and cold and endless. Voices whispered around me, fragments of thoughts not my own, names I didn't recognize, places I'd never seen. Memories that weren't mine flooded through me like water through a broken dam. And then nothing. No sound, no light, no time, just silence. When I opened my eyes, I was behind the wheel of my truck, parked on the side of a dusty, sunlit highway. The sky was bright blue. Birds chirped in the distance. The wind rustled through low shrubs along the roadside. It was morning. My phone buzzed. Full signal. 6:03 a.m. For a long time, I didn't move. Everything looked normal, real. But the feeling in my chest said otherwise. A deep, hollow ache, like something inside me had been scooped out. I looked around. No motel, no building, no river's edge sign, just open road. I sat in that cab for a while, trying to piece things together, trying to make it make sense. Maybe I'd fallen asleep at the wheel, dreamed the entire thing. Maybe. Then I saw it. On the dashboard, a key. Old, brass, tarnished. Room 6. My stomach dropped. I didn't remember putting it there. I didn't remember leaving the motel. But somehow it had followed me. I picked it up, and just holding it made my skin crawl. It radiated something cold, something wrong, like it didn't belong in this world either. That's when I noticed the hollow spaces in my mind. Gaps, like someone had erased parts of me with careful precision. I tried to recall the manager's face. Nothing. Tried to remember how I got to the basement. Blank. Only fragments remained. The feeling of being watched. The knock on the ceiling. The message on the glass. You're not supposed to leave. Even as I started the engine and pulled back onto the highway, I felt it. A weight. Not guilt. Not fear. Presence. Like something had come with me, or like I hadn't really left at all. I drove for hours that day, further east, into the sun. Tried to convince myself I was free, but I'm not. Not really, because even now, weeks later, I can feel it. That space inside me where something used to be. A memory maybe, or a part of my soul. And sometimes, when I close my eyes, I see that motel again. The flickering neon sign. The empty lot. The hallway that stretched too far. And the door. The loop. I've searched maps, trip logs, asked other drivers. No one's heard of River's Edge Motel. It doesn't exist. But I know better. It exists in the places where reality thins, where fatigue breaks you down and the veil slips. And it's still there, waiting. Maybe one night when I'm tired again, when the road stretches out a little too long and my mind begins to wander. I'll see that green highway sign, River's Edge Motel 2 kilometers, and I won't even realize I've turned off the highway until it's too late. So, if you ever find yourself deep in the outback, no signal, no sleep, just a truck and endless road, don't stop. No matter how tired you are, no matter how inviting it looks. If you see a motel that shouldn't be there, keep driving.